All right, well, this week is Blues Week on the channel, and you might be in luck depending on when you're watching this video, because during Blues Week here, there is a huge blues bundle worth of tons of courses, blues courses and backing tracks that my friend Robert Renman and I have put together for you. Check it out below. I hope it's still available, but I know exactly why you're here. You're here for this lesson, so we're gonna get started right away. In this video, we're going to take a look at a traditional blues in G, and we're going to change our approach. Instead of going for the go-to licks, the G minor pentatonic licks that you might be used to if we're in a key of G, which we are, but we're going to change our visual approach, and that will result, hopefully, in a blues improvisation that is a little more targeted, a little more interesting. That's coming up right after this. Hello, my name is David Wallerman. Welcome to this channel, which is all about helping guitar players around the world find their voice, develop that voice on their instrument to tell their own personal musical story. All right, so the backing track that I'm using here and the charts for this lesson are available for free. These are going to help you, after watching this video, just continue exploring the concept. You can get that for free. The link is below, and just enter a valid email address, and I'll be sending you those charts and the backing track right away. All right, so what is this backing track? This backing track is a blues in G. That's what we're going to use, a traditional form, and we have 3 different chords. So if I play the backing track here, the first chord is a G7, G dominant 7 chord. In that position, we can play a G7 chord. Again, the charts are below. Second chord is the C7. That's the 4th degree, and then back to G. Then we're going to have the 5, the 1, 4, 5. Here it is, the D7, back to C7, and G7. That is really important because we're going to visualize those chords in a narrow, contained area of the fretboard to create some leads that are a little more targeted towards those chord tones. Now, when I say this, I don't want you to forget all the tricks that you do over the blues. So if we've got, typically over a blues like this, what do players do? They do something like this. It sounds great, right? Minor blues, G minor blues. All that is something that you should not forget. You should still use all that because that's kind of expected, and sometimes what the listener expects is what you should give to the listener. Don't try to be different all the time. You want to engage the listener in what you have to say, and that's why typically I like to stress on this channel that it's important to match musical elements together, because you want the listener to be drawn into what you have to say. Then you can throw at him other things. All right, so that is kind of expected. So all that vocabulary needs to be kept. You're still going to phrase with that and build your improvisation with that. The problem with this, the minor blues stuff, is that because we've played it so many times, oftentimes we forget where music comes from. And you know it, right? If you've been watching this channel for a while, you know that it comes from within, not from the fingers. The fingers should be the slave to your mind or your soul, right? If all your leads are generated by the fingers, which we all do that, it's okay sometimes, but if you only do that, your music is going to be very, very expected, right? But you expected in the bad way. It's you know what I mean? It's redundant. Okay, so we're going to change that with this approach. So let me show you what's going on here. I told you about the chords, right? There are 3 chords here in this blues, and typically we find 3 chords, 1, 4, 5. Those are the degrees that are made dominant. What does dominant mean? Here's just a little lesson. Dominant, whenever you have the term dominant applied to anything musical, a chord, a scale, dominant means that in order to be dominant, the thing needs to have 2 things. It needs to have a major third and a minor 7 at the same time. So there are a lot of different dominant scales and stuff. But so we have 3 dominant chords, and we're going to focus on this area of the fretboard. But if you like this concept, I really encourage you to explore that in other slices of the fretboard. But we're going to go for this one. We are in G. Low E string, 3rd fret is our visual reference point for the key. That's the G right there. And we're going to build chords in that area of the fretboard between frets 3 and 5, more or less, right? All right, so I'm going to show you these chords. And instead of using full chords, we're going to use slices of chords, pieces of chords. And we're going to focus this on strings 2, 3, 4. Why? Why not? Just because. We could do it on other with other strings, but that's what we're going to do. So for the G7, if I play a G7 using these 3 strings, we're going to focus on the important notes, which is the root. We need the root on the 4th string, 5th fret. We have a G right here. Then we're going to add that major third, which is on the 3rd string, 4th fret. We're going to skip the 5th to add that minor 7, because I told you dominant means major third and minor 7. We really want that dominant to come out. And we have a minor 7 here. The minor 7th of G is on the 2nd string, 6th fret. So that's the shape that we have. So from the 4th string to the 2nd, I have frets 5, 4, and 6. Again, the charts are below to help you out. You can download those. That's for the first chord. So whenever I have that first chord, I'm going to visualize these notes. Does that mean that I'm going to build my improv just doing? No, of course not, but I'm still going to visualize that. The second chord that you hear here, we're also going to build that second chord, the 4th degree, using these same exact strings. That's important. So we're going to use these same exact strings, and that would be the chord. The root is on the 5th string, 3rd fret, but the piece of the chord that we're going to use on strings 2, 3, 4 are going to be on frets 5, 3, and 5. All right, so we're basically going from this to this. Not many notes I'm not doing big movements there. These notes are very close. As a matter of fact, this note right here on the 4th string, 5th fret is common to both chords. And that's the visualization there. You need to visualize these whenever the chords change. Let's take a look at the 3rd chord, which is a D7. So if I play my D7 in that slice of the fretboard, I'm not moving out, just here. The notes that I have here in that chord from the 4th string to the 2nd are frets 4, 5, and 3. All right, so we've got our 3 chords here played on strings 2, 3, and 4. First chord, I will name the frets for all 3 chords, starting on the 4th string and then 3rd string and 2nd. So for the first chord, the G7, we have frets 5, 5, 4, 6. The second chord, 5, 3, 5. And then we're back to that first chord, so that's 5, 4, 6. And then whenever the 5th degree appears, this is what we have. We have frets 4, 5, and 3. So those are the 3 chords we have. Get used to changing these chords. That's going to be very important for what comes next. All right, so these 3 chords, these 3 pieces of chords, they're triads in the way we're playing them, because we're only playing 3 notes. That's the visualization that we're going to focus on. Now, here's how it works. You're still going to base your improvisation on that G minor pentatonic scale throughout, or G minor blues if you want to add that blue note. Okay, okay? Your improv is really going to be that. But when we change chords, if you want to add one of that interesting flavors, you're still, even though you're playing in that zone of the fretboard minor pentatonic, you're still visualizing this, right? You're still visualizing these things going on. And that means that if you're building a lick here, and that lick will end on the second chord, which is this slice of the fretboard right here, frets 5, 3, 5. What you're going to do is play minor pentatonic, and then land on one of these notes of the chord. And same for the first chord. If the first chord was your target, land on one of the notes of that chord. Get the charts up below, but I'm going to improvise a little bit, and I'm going to tell you what I'm thinking as I'm going here. Starting with G minor blues. Okay, now here comes the next chord. That piece of the chord. You don't need many notes, but just a few. Targeting these notes now. The next one. The next one. The next one. All right, so purely minor blues, but I'm targeting these notes. This is the second chord. The first chord, here's the next one. And then if you get tired of that cerebral approach, mental approach, it's a little bit hard mentally, just go back to your minor blues licks. And then every once in a while you can go back to that. Hear those chords, right? And so forth. Make sense? That's what I have for you. So it's a visualization thing. You can go much, much, much further with this, but that's the starting point to start to get a little bit outside of the traditional that, which is so predictable. Just visualizing these chord changes will do wonders to your playing, I think. If you like this, check out the previous video in which we're exploring 5 non-pentatonic scales to go over the blues, and of course make sure that you download the charts in the backing track. Without it, well, you're not going to reap the real benefits of this lesson. And again, depending on when you're watching this lesson, if you're watching it within the first week of release, you might still be in luck. You should check out the page below. We did this last year. It was very successful, so we're doing it again this year. Very limited time. Robert Renman, who's an awesome educator, online educator, and bluesman and friend, and myself have combined some of our best courses all about blues and scales and chords, and hours and hours and hours of tuition available. If you bought each of these packs one by one, it would cost you hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars. Not this week. Check out the link below. And if this is your first visit, thank you so much for stopping by. You should consider subscribing, because every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, there's a new video on this channel that helps guitar players around the world find their voice on their instrument. This is your pencil. This does not tell the story. You tell the story. This is your tool that is used to write the story, but you should be in control of this thing to tell your true musical story. Thanks for watching this. I'll see you very soon. Practice well.